Welcome back to the Padded Room. I'm Wayne, and this is Talking Tech with Wayne, the show dedicated to discussing smartphones, smart homes, and all those things in between. And hello to all your viewers who tuned into the last show, and greetings to my new friends. All the information discussed today and in all of our shows will be recapped in our newsletter. Log on to our website to sign up. The website address is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. That, along with our helpline number where trained technicians are ready to answer your questions 24/7, and best of all, it's 100% free. Today we're going to continue our journey looking at personal computing devices. Personal computers. Smartphones are computers, and their size certainly makes them personal. But for the sake of clarity, we're going to confine our definition today to the traditional uses. The term used to be confined to a selection of devices called PC, running the Windows system with a small percentage of people, maybe less than 10%, choosing an alternate platform called Macs. Those devices were divided into two categories of either desktops or laptops. Today, we have a third type of unit called tablets. Tablets rose in popularity due to its ease of use and its size, generally ranging from somewhere between 7 to 12 inches. That size puts it somewhere between a smartphone and a traditional PC. A tablet size still allows it to maintain its portability with another advantage, valuable to all of those of us who are of a certain age. At a time when our eyesight is not as good as it once was and our manual dexterity wanes, a tablet offers a larger and easier to navigate landscape than smartphones. Those reasons, along with affordable prices, some as low as $150, makes it an attractive personal computing device. The tablet is not for everyone, but for those of us that can embrace it, we find that no other device can quite match it. Let's look at some of those reasons why. We already touted its size, but peering closer, that size makes it ideal for many things, like for instance, entertainment. Many streaming services allow you to use devices other than TVs to access their media. Although I know people who watch shows and movies on their smartphones, I could never get the hang of it. Squinting somehow drained the fun out of the experience. And if you're scratching your head and wondering what in the Sam Hill I'm talking about, well then keep watching, because in an upcoming show, we will highlight new and interesting ways to watch your shows and movies. And me, coming from a 1 black and white with 3-channel TV, 4 if you count PBS, the opportunity to get my entertainment any way and any place, it's just liberating. Speaking of liberating, cutting the cord from Comcast Verizon's stranglehold of having 3,000 channels of stuff I never wanted but somehow forced to pay for was one of the best things I have ever done. When I think of the time when I dreaded paying the Verizon bill, I would literally get the hives. And don't get me wrong, I'm a man who has no problem paying for what he wants, but the thought of paying for all of those channels and ultimately never finding anything I wanted to watch was difficult, to say the least. Now I only pay for the channels I want, and I'm not tied into a long-term contract. And for the cherry on top, drum roll please, my bill is smaller. Bye-bye, hives. Well, what if you are more of a reader? I'm glad you asked that. The large screen makes for a wonderful e-reader. The sum total of human literary experience, from the earliest cave drawings to our greatest works, are just a few touches away. The best part of that is you can access them all on a device that weighs a pound or so. Truly a wondrous age, huh? So, there are three systems that dominate this tablet space. Two of those are Android and Chromebook, which are created and maintained by Google, and the iPad, which is created and maintained by Apple. If that sounds familiar of those of you that tuned into the last show, then you would be right. They are the same companies that make and maintain the systems that run the majority of smartphones. That means that much of this stuff we discussed about smartphones applies to tablets as well, and that's a definite plus. I will be using a Samsung Galaxy Tab S4 for today's demonstration. If you have an Android tablet and are following along, it may look a little different than what you are seeing, and that's okay. And like I said on the last show, those differences are due to a number of reasons. The first may be that you're using an iPad or a Chromebook. And if that's the case, then the concepts discussed will still be of value. But additional resources for you guys will be included in our newsletter. Please take note to our website address so that you can go there and sign up. Another reason could be the slight differences between manufacturers, models, or in some cases, even different versions of the same model. I want to take a moment to refresh your memory about naming conventions. Like smartphones, there are many companies that make tablets. The company that makes my tablet is Samsung. Each company makes multiple models of tablets. This one is called the Galaxy Tab. Each model can have several versions. Mine is the S4. The example I used last show is still the one that I think that resonates for most of us. It is the naming scheme used by the auto industry. Take Ford, for instance. They make a model named Taurus. Ford makes a new version of Taurus yearly, which they name after the year of the release, the newest being 2021. Now, steering away from the name to what's under the hood, sorry, I just couldn't resist. Let's take a tour. This is the lock screen. A lock screen is called that because it is your first line of protection against the bad guys. One of the attributes of tablets and smartphones alike is also its Achilles heel. Their mobility keeps them within arm's reach, but also makes them vulnerable to loss or theft. The only way to protect yourself and your precious data is to put some level of security in place. There are several ways to do that, and we will devote an entire upcoming show to all things security, including securing our devices. In my case, I chose to use a security code, and entering it in brings me to the home screen. This tablet runs on Android, and it is a touch screen device. Like smartphones, the way to get things done is through touch. All apps are represented by an icon. Some icons are pictorial representations of their app. Touching an icon opens an app. A long touch does several things. It opens a menu, which gives you some additional options and also allows you to drag it to another location. I know some of you are out there and asking, why in the world would I want or even need to move an icon? Well, the most important reason for that is to customize your tablet. It allows you to place your most frequently used icons on your home screen, and that is convenient. As an added bonus, customization also gives you ownership of your equipment. That ownership can help lessen any anxiety you may feel. Now, back to the home screen. The home screen on a tablet, like the home screen on a smartphone, serves several purposes. The first, and arguably the most important, is as a navigation destination. I made a joke about there being no place like home and alluded to the correlation of being lost on a tech device being somewhat like wandering around the fictional Oz. The general response was that I was lucky to have made a career out of technology because the chances of surviving as a comedian were slim to none. Well, I say to those critics, no, I won't be silenced. I say I got jokes, and I'm going to say it because, darn it, I'm funny. Okay, here we go. Question. What did the cat on the Verizon smartphone say? Can you hear me meow? I crack me up. Now, back to the serious stuff. On my home screen, I have a setting app, which has the picture of a gear wheel, and a camera app that has a picture of a camera. Some are not as intuitive, but with a little practice, you will get to know which icon goes with which app. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, the home screen. It serves as a anytime you find yourself turned around, and by pressing a single button, you will find yourself back here. So let's see how it works. Drawing your attention to the bottom of the screen, there is, on many phones, 3 buttons. The middle one is your home button. No matter where you are on the tablet, pressing it brings you back to this screen. And don't worry, I'll not make any Oz jokes. And to the right of the home button is the back button, which takes you back one screen. To the left of the home button is the running app button, which shows you all of the open apps and gives you the opportunity to close any or all of them. Above those buttons is the app dock, where up to 6 of your most frequently used apps are always accessible, no matter which screen you find yourself. I put them there using the long touch and drag move, which I shared earlier. At the very top of the screen and to the right is the status bar, which provides information such as battery, status, network connectivity, any alarms. To the left of that bar is the notification bar. Mine is showing current temp from a weather app. Also on my home screen, I have a date, time, and a Google search bar. Those are widgets. A widget is an extension of an app that brings a specific function to your device. In this case, the date time widget brings the correct date and time from my calendar app, and the search bar brings the search function from my Google Chrome app. Apps on widgets are gotten differently, so let's talk about apps first. Our next show will be all about the whys and whats of apps, but today we'll be exploring the how. Apps on an Android and on a Chromebook are gotten from the Play Store, and apps on an iPhone is gotten from the App Store. I will demonstrate on my tablet, which I stated before is an Android device, how the process works on iPhones is very similar, and additional resources will be in our newsletter. Please remember to sign up for it on our website. I placed the icon for the Play Store on my home screen using the long touch and drag move I showed you earlier. I encourage you guys to practice it, even if it is difficult in the beginning. We all know that practicing any skill will reap rewards if you're earnest in your efforts, and tech work is no different. Remember to be aware of your level of frustration and not push yourself too hard. Rule of thumb is if you're not having at least a little fun, then it's time to take a break. Now, back to the Play Store. And with the touch, the Play Store opens, and I'm presented with a search bar. Entering characters narrows the search. In this case, I search for any good app. Your search will hopefully be something more specific. But the Play Store, being the faithful servant it is, still tried to fulfill my request because, as I discussed last show, technology wants to help. Our job is to stop treating it like the enemy and just let it. So, entering even as non-specific term as I did, the Play Store managed to bring back a useful result, a fax app. Selecting it causes an install button to highlight, and touching the button begins the install. I should add at this point that I have already enabled the option for one-tap install in the Google Play Store. If I had not selected that option in advance, then I would have needed to authorize getting the app by entering a code I had set up on the account. We'll talk more about that when we talk about accounts and security. So, back to the install. After touching the install and allowing the process to complete, the button now gives you the option to open. So in the course of a few minutes, you have added a new function to the tablet. The process to install apps on this tablet is the same process to install apps on Chromebooks, iPads, Android smartphones, and iPhones as well. Now that we know how, on the next show, we'll explore the wide world of apps. A show dedicated to making your smart devices even smarter. Oh, well, now on to the good stuff. I'm going to open the phone lines. I just love talking to my people. Right. Okay. We have John from Germantown on the line. Hello, John. This is Talking Tech with Wayne, and I'm Wayne. How can I help?
Hello, Wayne, and thank you for taking my call. My laptop has recently started slowing down almost to a crawl. I was told by one friend that I probably had a virus, and then by another one that I may have a worm. Honestly, I don't know what either term means. Can you tell me what they mean, how they happen, how to avoid getting them, and how to get rid of them?
Well, John, those are great questions. First, let's see if I can make heads or tails out of them for you and our audience. And then I'll look at your issue, and together we'll decide on next steps. First, let's start with a general understanding of what they are. Whether they're called viruses, worms, adware, malware, or a host of other labels, what they are travels the gamut from being mildly irritating to downright dangerous. They are pieces of computer code with a purpose. In some ways, that purpose determines the name. Adware, for instance, is code that's purpose is to generate unsolicited ads on your devices. You may know them as pop-ups. Spyware's purpose is to spy on your device usage and collect personal information. A worm's name came from its behavior on your computer. It hides itself and worms its way through your network. Trojan horse is code that hides in plain sight, generally as a free application that you agree to install, and like the Greek horse of old, smuggles something unexpected and deadly within itself. Even virus, which is the oldest term for malicious code, was coined because it mimicked the behavior of its medical namesake, in that it lived to duplicate itself and find viable hosts like other computers. Nowadays, that term has become a catch-all term for all that goes wrong with your computer. A digital boogeyman, if you will. On to the next part of your question, how to avoid one, and for the remainder of this call, I'll be using the term virus as a generic for all malicious code. Good computing hygiene is your best defense against getting a virus. That covers a lot of ground, but there are some basic rules of the road. First, use caution when you're on the internet. You should avoid unknown sites. Never click on unknown links. Never open unsolicited attachments, even those from people you know. Avoid free apps or features. They are making money somehow. Maybe they're making it by selling entry into your device. Use caution when you're in chat or other social sites. And use a good antivirus. They protect against a variety of viruses, and for the rest, they will be an early warning system. Realizing you have a problem is always the first step to mitigation. Also, in the identification of an infection, it begins way before you have a problem. It begins the day you first take it out of the box. You should pay attention to how your computer, tablet, or smartphone runs normally, so that when that changes, you know that there's a problem. Other warning signs also include pop-ups and a change of the home page. There are others, but if you use the same common sense that you use in other areas of your life, you will avoid the majority of threats out there. Now, on to the all-important, how do I get rid of them? Just like with any troubleshoot, I just need to ask you some additional information, John. When did you first notice the change in performance?
I think my computer has been slowing down for at least the last couple of months, but for the last week, it's been really unbearable.
Are you near your computer?
Yes, it is right here in front of me.
Good. Are you comfortable walking through a few things on air? The value of callers is that for every question asked by someone, there are 100 viewers out there with the very same one.
Sure, if you think it can help.
Great. John, do you have an antivirus program?
I do. I have McAfee. There's a box that says I have to renew. I've been closing it. I guess that's a bad thing.
Well, it is your first line of defense. Renewing your antivirus is crucial to protecting yourself. If cost is an issue, there are free ones available. Some may question the effectiveness of the free solutions, but I think a free one is more effective than none at all, or in your case, John, one without update signatures. John, I want you to hold on, and one of my guys will help you evaluate your system and explore possible next steps.
Sure, and whatever you can do, it will be appreciated.
No worries, and thanks for your patience. I wanted to explain the importance of updates to our audience. To all of you out there, I have good news, I have bad news, and I have excellent news. The good news is that the 21st century has given us such advantages to make our life better. The bad news is that every device you own tasked with delivering those advantages that is collected to the internet is a potential target for the bad guys. Now, the most excellent news is that securing them is easier than you think. Updating everything every time you are asked to do it is your first step, whether it's your antivirus, your phone's OS, or your computer's updates. Click OK or Yes or I agree. Every time the bad guys find a weak place in your devices, the manufacturers scurry to strengthen it, and they make it available to you through updates. Oh, I see that's all the time I have for today. It has been my pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the very next time we can do it again. I hope you all a farewell.